this particular matter. And of course, being a Friday, we have a number of guests to help us interpret some of these issues. And also on a lighter note, what you're seeing behind me is a deck where we'll be speaking to DJ Sadiq, as well as other key personalities when it comes to the business of entertainment. But let's still keep it with the Anti-Corruption Day. And we are now joined by Frederick Riaga, who is the head of public policy at the Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Mr. Riaga, what do you make of these developments around auditors just being bold enough to come out and say, hey, there's something wrong, this has to be fixed?
Thanks again for that. Allow me, before answering that question, to underscore the fact that the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, being the regulator of the accountancy profession, we are there to regulate as well the auditors. And accountancy, by and large, exists to protect public interest. So then when you see auditors coming out to express their opinions bluntly on the issues as they are, then auditors are doing that in the interest of the public. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And looking at what the auditor, in this case of the Afya House probe, Mr. Mushere, he came out and blew the whistle, saying close to 5 billion shillings is in question at the Ministry of Health. Perhaps this is a one-off case. How do we ensure that we have auditors who are quite independent and can also ensure that they give accurate reports when it comes to financial transparency?
Again, one of the principles informing internal audit is that of independence and objectivity. So then professional internal auditor would carry out his roles, functions independently and objectively. So then do I have facts to back up a case, to back up a finding on a lapse within the system that may occasion loss of public funds? Then I am duty-bound to bring it up with the principal recipient of my report. And then it will be crucial for us then to appreciate the reporting lines for internal audit. Internal audit is an internal governance mechanism to check on risks management and monitor governance. So then the first principal consumer of an internal auditor's report is management itself.
Do you think auditors are well empowered when it comes to going public, saying, hey, there's a missing figure here, this has to be addressed? We are not seeing much of this happening. That's why corruption is quite rampant.
Allow me to say that audit, be it internal or external, is evidence-based. So then if I go in as an auditor to check out on a given transaction and I do not obtain sufficient evidence to make me form an opinion that systems were followed well, then I am duty-bound to report it.
Okay.
Yes.
And Fred, perhaps there's a perception that auditors are usually compromised in the event that a certain audit company is handling company X or is part of a system where they are supposed to audit an entity. Do you believe in this perception?
Coming from the regulator, there are standards that auditors ideally ought to observe when they're either picking up an assignment or through an assignment. The principle on independence, before an auditor picks up on an assignment, then he must observe, am I independent? Okay. Absolutely independent. So then I am able to go in and express an opinion that would stand the test of independence.
Okay. Yes. And do you believe in the Auditor General's report? We've seen the AG's report has castigated counties having serious lapses when it comes to accountability. On the flip side, county governments are saying, hey, the Auditor General is not correct. What's your stand on this?
In the interest of Wanjiku, Nekesa, Halima outside there, I think it would be proper for us to run through the processes involved in an audit. When the Office of the Auditor General goes into a given county to audit, there are steps that he follows, one of which he must prepare. The office must prepare, must do proper planning. What kind of resources would I need to go in? Once he's satisfied himself that he's got adequate numbers of resources, then he goes in and sits down with management just to define the scope, lay out the understanding and expectations. Part of which would be, I would want to be provided with information seamlessly. So then I am able then to verify all aspects, or not all, those that I would have identified through my risk profiling to enable me come up with an opinion. So it's a question of, do the two parties stick by the understanding that they set at the beginning of the audit?
Okay.
Is management, and in which case now the county government, standing by the commitment to provide supporting documentation as and when the Auditor General requires the information? Allow me then to go ahead and say that I had indicated that audit, expressing an opinion, is evidence-based. You're coming to tell me that I spent X. I wasn't there as an auditor. I only want to see the document trail. I want to see the evidence that was it done in accordance with either the standards, the internal policies, then of course the laws.
All right.
So if you're not able to provide that to me, then I go ahead and close my audit. Another point that I would want to underscore is public sector audit is so time-bound. Remember, financial year comes to an end on 30th of June. The spending entities have 3 months to prepare and submit the audited financial reports.
Okay.
Then the Constitution obligates the Auditor General to conclude these audits within 3 months. So by 31st of December, all audits of public sector institutions ought to be in. So then there is really not much space for back and forth. And that is where the problem comes in. As an auditor, I'm seeking information to confirm a given report. It's not coming. Time is fast moving. I've got to close a report. At the point that I close it, then I express an opinion on the basis of the pieces of information and evidence that would have been laid before me.
Fantastic. Pleased to end the conversation. Many thanks, Frederick Riaga, who is the head of public policy at the Institute of